C is about a proposed drain cleanout, which was the Edmore Coulee. That vote failed, so this would be a totally new project. The water boards took feedback from the landowners and the farmers, and what they came up with was a few minor changes to the original cleanout. And we're going to let Bryce Matheson talk about that a little bit. And what the boards have decided is if there is a petition to go forward with a new project, there would be a $10,000 bond from the landowners to take and kind of help cover the new costs for this project. Yeah, what am I missing? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over to Bryce Matheson. He works with Dan Fisher Engineering, and he'll just kind of go through what changes were done and what the proposed project could possibly look like if there's a petition for that. And he'll answer questions, and if you have any questions for the water boards, after he's done, we can go from there. All right? Thank you.
Yeah, if you just wait till Bryce is done with his presentation, questions.
Hey guys, thanks for coming today. I know last time it seemed like a lot of people felt that they're in the dark, didn't know what was going on, so thanks for coming. And if you see someone who's not here who has land in this watershed, please make sure they know about this. Let them know so everyone's informed, because we don't want to go down that path again. So I guess our project, it was such a close vote, we felt that if we could benefit a few more people and bring some more people on board, we could maybe go ahead with this. And so, this again is just a clean-out project. It's not a big construction project. And so that stays the same, and we're following the North Dakota Century Code 6121. And that can be found online if any of you guys want to read that. So our main drain, the Edmore Coulee, that's all the same. We can still use all of our data and information from the first go around on this. And I guess what you see, these laterals, that's all just proposed right now. It's nothing set in stone. Those can go. This is your guys' project, so however you guys want these laterals to be, everything will be considered. The ones that we have on here in the different colors, the lateral 1, 2, 3, and then we extend it at the bottom. Those are like the main laterals coming into it, and that's why we have those on here right now. Anything else can be considered as well. So I guess the main ones are up here from 66 going down, and then this purple one up here that's already an existing Tacoma drain there, and we would tie into that and bring it down. And then there's down on the bottom end, we are bringing that all the way to channel A. And then we don't quite have a watershed down in that area figured out, but if people are interested in this and on board and we get a petition going, we'll get that all squared away right down here. So this is Sweetwater Lake, Drywater Lake here, and channel A, so it's going to come all the way through. Everyone up above here is going to be paying at the full rate now. From here down is what we call the lower drain 10. We believe that is going to be, those people will be paying 50%. So again, it's just a clean out, and I guess I can take any questions that you guys have, or boards have anything to add in?
If you have a question, just raise your hand. We'd like you to talk into the mic because it's being recorded for those who could not be here today. It's going to get put, this meeting will be put up on YouTube link on the water board's websites.
The people on the lower end, are they being assessed already in assessment district?
Can you repeat that again?
The people like from Sweetwater on through to Channel 8, are they already being assessed?
I don't, do you know about that?
I don't think they are. Is that
As of right now, from Morrison to Dry Lake, there is a petition that has been submitted, but they have not decided to pursue it at this time. So the joint boards did a clean out with money because there is, well, if Jeff wants to speak on it, but anyways, there was a clean out done between those 2 points, and so they are not being assessed at this point right now.
John's right, the Devils Lake Joint Board had organized a clean out and maintenance project of the Morrison outlet out of Morrison Lake all the way to Dry Lake this fall, and cleaning up a lot of the sloughing in the corners and different things like that. A lot of concern with the lower landowners about when this initial Edmore project was being proposed that they would suffer greatly because of it. So they came and submitted a petition for an assessment district to the water board and a petition for a clean out to the joint board. And so we took care of the clean out project, and hopefully that's all taken care of to their satisfaction. And this is all included now into the Edmore assessment that was originally proposed. So. Other questions? Raise your hand. Van would love to take the microphone around.
Where exactly is the line for the 50% you were talking about?
It is, there's a light purple line on the map, but it is, it's right above Morris Township. Cuts right through there.
So if you didn't hear the question was, where is the line for the 50% assessment at this time?
Looks like it's probably County 8 there.
Yeah, it's County 8, and then it would be everything to the southwest.
I guess I'm kind of curious. I thought that should be a lower assessment there, but I think 50% is too high for the bottom part there. It's more like a 10% type deal because, you know, all the work's going to be done above, and why should they have to pay for everything above?
Are they going through that? Is the stuff south of 8 going to get cleaned out, or is it still stopping there? Clean up goes all the way through now?
Yeah, it's gonna go all the way to Channel 8. And, well, obviously we won't be able to dig it all with all the water, but as it goes down, we'll clean it out.
That's a lot better project. Because we're on the bottom end of that, and if that thing stops at the end of the year, it's probably screwed. But I like this a lot better.
Okay.
And we're here to listen to ideas. 10% is an idea. This isn't set in stone. This is your guys' project. It's the biggest question we want to make. We can give you guidelines, but you, as the owners and the farmers, need to decide what you want and where you want to go.
I live on Sweetwater Lake on the east side, and the Belgard Bridge is 60 feet wide. And the weir is 60 feet wide, but it was negotiated to be higher than the meander line when it was originally put in. So they're holding that lake artificially high. And then when the water goes out, it goes over to Highway 20. The bridge there is 40 feet wide. And after it leaves there, it goes over to a county road that has about 11 culverts in it. So So we have several restrictions, and it affects the people around the lake. And that's my biggest concern, that we're gonna leave those restrictions in there.
Just to clarify, you want to leave it as is, the structures? That's-
I'd like to see the structure lower. There's a foot of concrete in there that could come out and lower that level.
I know, I don't know about that, I can't comment on that, I can talk with my boss a little more and get more information on that, but as far as, culverts and all that, those will be lowered to where the soil scientist tells us how low we can go on that, should this go through. I don't know if that'll apply to that or not, and I'll have to, get your number and get back to you on that one.
Any other questions right now? Right now, excuse me.
Shouldn't the lower portion be shared with the Starkweather watershed, because they're benefiting from that too?
Well, this line right here is following the Starkweather watershed. And so, and this is all Starkweather watershed up here, so this is where we're gonna cut it off.
But doesn't that still run into, Morrison? No.
All this here is running here. This from here goes to Starkweather. Oh yeah, this is the divide. Any more questions?
Are there any changes that people see that they don't like with this or with these changes that water boards have made? Is there anything that they think should be deleted that was there or added that isn't there?
John?
Wait down.
Yeah, my question is, last time this stuff was proposed, like Highland and stuff like that, and part of Woodland and Tacoma were going to be assessed half of the project. Now, is it going to be part of the whole funding of this project?
Yeah, it's gonna be full right now since if that lateral is gonna be included, it's gonna be at full right now.
We don't get any benefit out of it.
You do. No matter what you say, when your water gets so high, it goes somewhere. I've heard this story, we no benefit, no benefit. Water gets so high, it flows somewhere. And ours flows south to Gathering Hill.
John, who's got a question?
So you're saying is the Tacoma coulee gonna be cleaned out now too, also?
I believe that the Tacoma assessment, that's gonna be merged in with this one now, and then it's all gonna be one, correct?
If it needs it, it will be.
Because now, you mentioned the Tacoma drain up to the Capital County line there. Is that then gonna go away as legal drain? Or is that still gonna have separate assessments on that plus everything below it?
I believe it's all gonna be merged into one now. That Tacoma drain is becoming drain 10 assessment.
Because that would.
That's only if this project goes through,
Right.
it will become a lateral.
Right, because previously in the other vote, that drain was still gonna exist on its own.
Right.
Plus, we were gonna pay for another drain, plus pay for the Devil's Lake assessment.
Right, it'll be joined into this, the one now.
So we'll make one legal drain after the Devil's Lake basin.
You'll have one, how is that worded with, a full thing, but the Nakoma won't have an assessment anymore, right?
Yep.
That's what it'll be. So the Nakoma pretty well goes visible, and then it becomes part of the Edmore, and it's the Edmore assessment then.
And it's changing from a 50% rate to a 100% rate.
In this plan, yes.
Yep. And one other thing, I talked to the State Water Commission and they said there's legislation or a committee working on legislation to deal with drains like this, to determine, what should I say, the equal percentages, like we're discussing how much should be paid at the lower end, how much branches should pay. I understand there is a committee meeting in December to propose legislation. They said Minnesota has laws that govern how these branch out, who pays what percentage, and North Dakota is working on that also. Have you guys checked into that?
If you have a land in Minnesota, you'll realize North Dakota's like that.
Well, they're working on it. I'm just saying, is that something you guys are going to put input into on how to work it? Because it's going to probably become a law here eventually.
Nothing against their legislation, but anytime we get involved with them, it's a 10-year process. And then things change, and it's always for them. So, if there is something in there, we haven't seen a pattern or any kind of a template to who gets charged what percentage. I think that's what you guys need to decide.
My question to landowners, do you want the state dictating how you handle it, or do you want to have your own local control and you guys decide how you want to do it? My personal experience, once the state gets involved, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Never.
I had a question on the actual cleaning. Is the cleaning only going to be done on the blue, or are the channels going to be cleaned also? What is the project?
The main channel, the blue, will be the first thing that's done. After that's done, all the laterals will be done as well.
We had the original X amount of yards to move. This is an expanded version of it. The first one didn't. This is an expanded. There was concerns to certain areas that they weren't being included, but they were in the voting meeting. So we addressed some of those situations, those problems. And Dan is redoing the numbers. He has well, let's put it this way. He's got an estimate, until we see that petition, we can't spend any more money on this survey. We spent close to $100,000 on this thing already in a lot. So, with $10,000 of farmer money, you get the blueprint that we have. The amount of already gone into this. It won't be an expensive project because there was that much work done already and paid for. So, the real dirt moving, until we have a new petition, if it wasn't in the first original one, I don't know the numbers and where that dirt's going to be moved. So, if that kind of answers your question. I know you want to know, and we don't right now. Until we hate to spend any more on this and it's not going to fly. There's got to be more questions than this. I got a couple questions.
My wife's family has a piece of land up here by Edmore, and I gotta, for some reason, I get appointed to explain this all to them. So,
tell me the differences between the other project and this project. There's been some additions. I take it that the laterals are an addition.
The main change is going to be the laterals, and then down on the bottom end, bringing the main drain to channel A,
Adding that section in on the lower end.
and then the laterals.
Has the outside boundaries for assessment changed at all?
It's only going to change.
Pardon?
It might a little bit.
I'm talking about the upper section. Did your boundaries for the assessment, the outer red line is your assessment boundary,
For
right?
the most part, it's staying the same. We know after doing this the first go around that there's a couple small areas that we need to look into more and change, but for the most part, it's staying the same.
Okay, and the lower part has been added with a proposed 10% assessment on the thing.
Yeah, whatever that may be, and we don't have the exact watershed done down there on the bottom end yet until we get a petition, and we'll do that. Except for this north red line right here, that is the boundary of the Stark Weather coulee. So this is set.
So in my own mind, what I see is a project that is just about the same, but these laterals have been added, adding more cost into it, and that makes the people that are being assessed over near those laterals more comfortable with it, because those laterals are gonna drain into the main coulee, and then you're adding the bottom part because of the possible chance of the water stopping there and not flowing through, and they're getting assessed a little bit for that.
We want the people on the bottom end. And this is the water starts to run down.
Mike,
What's that?
use your mic. You're talking about us on the bottom end, I want to hear what you got to say.
At the bottom end, they're kind of the unforgotten, or the forgotten people in this drainage system, because the water runs downhill, it gets to Devil's Lake, and as long as it gets there, everybody's fine with it. Not really the way to look at it. I mean, our water goes there, we should help. I mean, that's why we included them, and this is a pretty sweet drain when you look at it all the way from Devil's Lake to Nakoma. That's a big drain. That's an impressive drain.
By adding these other people on the bottom, though, you just added more cost to it, and it's only assess them 10% and tack the rest on through the rest of the assessment district, correct?
Well, I wouldn't say it's going to add a lot of cost to it, because this part of this down here is being cleaned out right now by the joint boards. The Ramsey, or the whole Devil's Lake Basin Joint Board is cleaning a strategic part of that drain out right now. Are we done with that, Jeff? They completed it. And that, I think if you're in that part, you know that was a holdup, I'm assuming. And they brought it to us and we cleaned it out, the joint board. But that will be added in to this drain. And then all the way around and down into what's
Channel A.
yeah.
Okay, so, excuse my ignorance here, but the lower part has already been done, and you're expecting them to pay 10% of the cost on the whole project?
Well, it's 50% right now. It isn't established yet. It was proposed at 50. He came up with 10%. I'm not going to decide that. I mean, you guys come in with your ideas, and the lower end, I believe there shouldn't be as much. But what is the fair rate? How much work will be done down there? I don't know.
Okay, like I said, I just have to have enough knowledge here to explain
When you're
to,
talking to me, you have none now.
explain to a large family.
The other part, by including them, then in the future, they'll be included in maintenance. So that as spray needs to be done, even when the project's being done, that channel can be sprayed to keep those cattails out. If they're not included, then none of this money would go to help them either.
Who's paid that bill for the bottom end right now? Has that bill been paid or? Is
The bill's been paid, it's the Dells Lake Joint Board, or Basin Joint Board.
John?
What has actually been cleaned out on the bottom end? Now, I know from Sweetwater, Morrison to Dry Lake has been, but when we get back into Ringstrom, Bartlett, and the coulee going up past the Hagee Bridge, we call it, and then going north where it meets with the Lawton coulee, has any of that been cleaned out? And will it be cleaned out? How do we get through that? That's a tremendously mucky, flat area of water. It doesn't travel. We don't have the drop here available from here to Dells Lake. 300 feet if I'm not wrong. We have like 2. So how do you bring extra water down and you get it through that flat area and brag about your ditching on the other side of it? But it's that swamp where the 4 lakes are. How do you move it through there faster? Has any work been done on the coulee south of the Hagee Bridge?
We haven't shot, we're trying to get to this point to add this in.
When you're adding drains and you're adding other drains to this, why would you even think of that without addressing the bottom end on getting it through to Dells Lake?
We have to
You've got to work on the bottleneck first before you add other property to the drain.
We have to survey it first. It hasn't been surveyed by us yet.
It seems like that would be appropriate before you do the rest of this project.
Start the petition. I mean, that's what we're looking for, is a petition to start this, to go and look at it and see if it's a possible, pliable job. If it's not going to work, I don't know what we can do then.
So I have to address your question. Yes, these laterals were added from the feedback we got from the landowners and the farmers. And if there's a petition and the project moves forward, where to start, how to start would all be addressed. But we can't do that yet because we don't have a project. This is just the information that we received, the feedback we got, and how we would like to pursue if that's what the landowners want. So to address your question, yes, I believe that it would start at the south end, or on the bottom end. But until we have a petition and the bond to take and get started with it, there's nothing else we can do. Now, if you want to take and start on one just on your own down there, we can discuss that too. But this is what we're talking about today.
Maybe I didn't understand it right. When Dan originally had this one designed as the Edmore coulee, we were going to have one start at the bottom and one in the middle and work north.
Correct.
So it would all have to be shot that way, and that's where we would start. We would start at the bottom with one crew and one in the middle. So the bottom would have to be addressed before we even started. Now, we can only do on a cleanout as much as what is allowed by the law, right?
If this goes through, we'll get a soil scientist to bring us in there and say, tell us exactly how much we can take out.
I can't reiterate enough, this is not a waterborne project. This is a landowner farmer project. We are just the vessel to take and try to help you get it done.
The reason we're having this meeting is after the Edmore failed, we had a lot of people call, wanting to know why it failed. Was it misinformation? People didn't get mailing. You realize how many people are in this, and how many mail-outs was there, Kinsey? 2,800. And do we have 120 people here? No. So I'm hoping everybody got their card for the meeting, or they don't care. I don't know. Like it says, we're your vessel to move forward with. We've had, the calls we had, we wanted it to try to go again. But we set the rules, or the standard this time at 10,000. Go out and get a petition. How many signatures do we need? 6? 6 and $10,000. And then we can move forward, and we'd have more meetings. And then Bryce to get the numbers before we actually go to vote, right?
We have more meetings, those concerned about the bottleneck can be addressed about starting. They have a survey done so we know what can be taken out, so you know those facts. And then we have numbers about what the project would cost too.
I have a question right here. Well, you've got County 3, that's not in the right place, is it? Because County 3 runs 1 mile inside of Union Township, and this is showing it on the line of Union Township.
Some of the lines will have to be defined, I mean, this is kind of a rough, especially on the bottom.
Well, I don't want to be in this rough area, and I'm concerned. There's really a job over here, and the last time we had this proposal out, I talked to the surveyors, and they said that part of my water would run over into this area. I have nothing that would run over there, and I don't know why I would be paying part of the assessment.
Okay.
That's my question. Because, now, is still the same job here that you had before? Because this job went to Union Township.
Well, I think what they did, if you look at the bottom, is they squared them off, right? You didn't do the actual numbers, they're squared off.
If we went down to 40 acres, the majority of it went, took it all.
Well, that goes through, you definitely talk to Dan about it, Bryce here, and,
What is the approval?
what? Yeah, next meeting, right? I mean, you can't make this work.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm reading here on the fact sheet, 2 facts. Primary focus of the project is simple maintenance, removal of cattails and accumulated silt, combating the natural effects of erosion. Nothing would be increased.
All culvert structures would be left to the present government agency to control. This will only help to provide an orderly flow for water progressing through the basin. I believe you're wrong on that. I don't believe that's a fact. The water is going to come faster through these lateral drains. And we've already had at times when the snowfall was big enough, the roads wash out where I'm at. You're going to ask for problems that you don't understand, I believe, right now without increasing bridge size and culvert size in a lot of the township roads. And doing that is going to mean the channel has to be wider, but the soil scientist dictates how wide the channel is. That's a big part of my lost for words on it, but really scratching my head on where it goes through me, as I envision the soil scientists not finding much silt there, and I just get a bunch more water coming down, and the culverts stay the same. It appears to me that I'm better off leaving it the way it is now for a more orderly flow. It will increase the water flow there, and there'll be times when it will wash it away. As long as if the water's to the top of the road, what more help does cleaning do? No, where we're at, we don't get cattails in the channel. There's enough water that flows there all the time. It needs widening, so it doesn't spread out in the field.
I'm just trying to understand. If it's cleaned out all the way down, would help you? I guess that's.
I don't think so.
I mean, that's your own thing. We can only go by the numbers.
Yeah, I know that.
Clean out between this spot and that spot. And if that helps take the water away,
What I envision is more enough water coming down from up above to, you'll be on a big enough snowfall year, especially you'll be knocking all the roads out.
well, I guess that was kind of our concern when we decided to start on the bottom end and come up, which was not, we're not running.
Well, which is fine, but when the project was completed, let's say, that's what I envision is on high enough snowfall years, you're gonna blow a lot of the township roads out without increasing the bridge or the culverts in there. Because I've seen it washed out already, and that's gonna bring it faster. Yeah, that's a problem I have without a guarantee of will you widen this channel.
Well, I think where we can, like, are you in the original one?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go in the dock, Dan?
Yes.
And what
Well, it's up to the soil scientists. I don't know what the soil scientists.
Soil scientists will tell us exactly how wide and deep we can go. And if the culverts are too high, we'll lower them, whatever they tell us to. So that could help as well.
What I need out of the project is just a widening of the main channel in a pretty big way, not a deepening or cleaning. There's no water that comes
When we
through.
surveyed it, most of the sediment we found wasn't in the middle of the channel. It's built up on the
what we call the pose of the ditch,
Yeah.
and so that'll all be coming out.
I'm just telling you my thoughts. I envision a problem with the culverts, bridges, the roads. And, I don't know what a soil scientist is gonna say, so for what the cost of the assessment is, which I think is gonna end up to be a fair amount more than what's presented, that's just my feeling. My idea tells me that I'm better off going on with my own excavator and doing it my way. So,
Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah. So I'm not sure the whole policy here, but basically you're saying is us at the bottom end need to start a petition to check ourselves out to see if the water can go through. Is that what you're saying? If we should start at the bottom end? And then us bottom enders need to sign a petition or start a petition? How do we make us, or how do we convince us to start the trial? Who started the trial?
You guys started.
You guys, who's you guys? The guys on the
landowner. No, not us. The landowners. The landowners start the petition. That's what happened the last time.
Well, the very last, the first time was '86, when everybody agreed, right before the swamp buster provisions, we would dig these ditches, we'd get rid of this water, and once the season started, we closed those gates and you dealt with your own water through the course of the summer. It didn't last very long, just because of rough. So how is this thing going to work any better? And who does it? The north line starts the petition, and we get this thing rolling on the south line.
Everybody.
Everybody's got
From
to
top to bottom.
Okay.
Get on it. So if you want it,
I'm sure I want it.
no.
And you know, the other thing, and I asked John about it, the lot in Cooley comes in, it's not involved in any of this. No. But their water comes right across, I can't get this piece of ground spring before last, until late. Edmore Cooley was done running. Lot Cooley ran on this summer. Spring of 2000 happened early, snow in 19.
This has nothing other than a boundary with lot.
Except for the lot of Cooley comes in right here by the Hickey Bridge.
So to answer Andy's question, anybody in that's a landowner in this proposed area right here could come in and start a gravel petition and get 6 signatures, bring it to the water board. They would ask for a bond, and then we would take it, be propelled to take it, and go forward with it. And his other question is about the lot pooling. And that could be added in, but as of the water board's discussion here, before the Edmore drain was voted on, was the lot decided that they did not want to necessarily be in that big of a project, that they would look at something in the future. But until the petition was written, that doesn't say that it could be added back in.
The flow rate for a lot would still be included in the project. The flow rate of the lot would still be included in said project.
The flow would still be coming into this project, yes. They just would not be assessed at this proposal.